Breaking news from around your world on this Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. I'm Larry Rice. Nearly 3 years since the United Kingdom voted to leave the EU in a shock referendum result, British politics remain in crisis, and it's unclear how, when, or if it will ever leave the European club it first joined in 1973. The House of Commons on Monday threw out 4 alternatives to Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal, the second day of inconclusive votes on options. Now, May said she is seeking to further delay Britain's exit from the EU and will try to work a deal with the political opposition in a bid to break the Brexit impasse. May issued the statement in a televised announcement from 10 Downing Street after the EU's chief negotiator warned that a chaotic and costly Brexit was likely in just 10 days unless Britain snapped out of the political crisis that has paralyzed the government and Parliament. May said, "This debate, this division cannot drag on much longer," and she will meet with opposition Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn in an attempt to find a compromise solution. The leaders of the European Union's 27 remaining countries gave the UK until April 12th to leave the bloc or come up with a new plan after lawmakers thrice rejected an agreement struck between the bloc and May. Her statement seemed to indicate that she was veering away from the possibility of a no-deal Brexit. The pound rallied against the dollar and the euro following her statement. The World Trade Organization lowered its forecast Tuesday for global economic growth this year and next, mainly due to escalating trade conflicts and tariff penalties. The global trade body sees worldwide growth slowing to 2.6% this year, down from the 3.7% the WTO projected 6 months ago. That would be the slowest growth forecast since 2016. Its 2020 forecast of 3%, which is slightly more optimistic, would hinge on parties resolving trade conflicts, particularly between China and the United States. The updated forecast reflects similar scaled-down projections from the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. WTO Director General Roberto Azevedo said in a statement Tuesday, "It is increasingly urgent that we resolve tensions and focus on charting a positive path forward for global trade, which responds to the real challenges in today's economy." NASA said India's recent anti-satellite test was a terrible thing, as it created more than 400 pieces of space debris that threatened the safety of the International Space Station and astronauts on board. Last week, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi declared his nation an established space power after it destroyed a low-orbit satellite. Only 3 other countries have achieved this feat, including the United States, Russia, and China. NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine said that of the 400 pieces of orbital debris the Indian test created, only 60 pieces were large enough to be tracked. Of those trackable pieces, 24 went above the highest point of the ISS's orbit of the Earth. He said the newly created debris field increased the risk to the International Space Station by 44% within the 10 days following India's test. Bridenstine said, "These activities are not sustainable or compatible with human spaceflight." NASA tracks more than 21,000 pieces of orbital debris, while a third of all debris was created by China's destruction of a weather satellite in 2007 and the accidental collision of American and Russian communication satellites in 2009. A forest fire in southwest China killed at least 30 people who were trapped after a gust of wind changed the direction of the fire. China's Xinhua news agency said the fire began over the weekend in the mountainous area of Liangshan Prefecture, and about 690 firefighters were sent to fight the blaze. But on Sunday, 27 firefighters and 3 civilians were killed when the fire shifted because the wind changed direction, trapping them from rescue crews. Hundreds of residents of Xizang City gathered Monday night to pay their respects to those who died, as the bodies of those killed were transported down the mountain and through the town. The forest fire in Liangshan Prefecture is only one of several that China has been fighting to control over the past few days. Lawmakers in New Zealand on Tuesday overwhelmingly backed new gun restrictions in an initial vote. The bill would ban the types of semi-automatic weapons a gunman used to kill 50 people at 2 mosques in Christchurch last month. It could be rushed into law by late next week with nearly unanimous backing after just one lawmaker voted against it. Police Minister Stuart Nash said, "We are also driven by the memory of 50 men, women, and children who were taken from their loved ones on the 15th of March. Their memory is our responsibility. We don't ever want to see an attack like this in our country again. We are compelled to act quickly." The chair of the House Judiciary Committee said that his committee would vote Wednesday to authorize a subpoena of special counsel Robert Mueller's full unredacted report on Russian interference in the 2016 election. House Democrats previously set an April 2nd deadline for Attorney General William Barr to deliver them Mueller's full report. Though Democrats will likely authorize the subpoena, it will be up to Chairman Jerry Nadler of New York to decide whether to issue it. The Attorney General said that Mueller did not establish a criminal conspiracy between Trump's campaign and Russia, but did not determine whether Trump obstructed justice. Barr promised on Friday to release a redacted version of the Mueller report by mid-April. Pope Francis said in a document released Tuesday that women have legitimate claims to seek more equality in the Catholic Church, but the Pope stopped short of endorsing recent calls from his own bishops to give women leadership roles. In the text, Francis also told young adults they should try to help priests at risk for sexually abusing minors in what a Vatican official said was a great act of trust the Pope has for today's youth to help priests in difficulty. Francis issued the document, known as an apostolic exhortation, in response to an October 2018 meeting of the world's bishops on better ministering to today's young Catholics. The synod took place against the Church's clergy sex abuse crisis and included demands for greater women's rights. The bishops' final recommendations called the need for women to hold positions of responsibility and decision-making in the Church a duty of justice. Francis's new document, a 299-paragraph booklet entitled "Christ is Alive," covers a wide range of issues confronting young people today. In it, the Pope notes that many feel alienated from the Church because of its sexual and financial scandals and are suffering themselves from untold forms of exploitation, conflict, and despair. The Food and Drug Administration will have its first public hearing on cannabis and cannabis-derived products on May 31st to get feedback on regulation, manufacturing, and marketing. It's the first step in possible legalization of cannabidiol, a non-psychoactive compound in the cannabis plant that relaxes the body like marijuana, in food and drink products. Cannabidiol, also known as CBD, does not contain THC, the psychoactive component of cannabis. FDA rules currently prohibit restaurant and food manufacturers from adding CBD to food and drinks. Some lawmakers are pushing the FDA hard to change its rules, a process that could take several years. Several startup companies have created CBD-infused seltzers, cookies, and lattes in preparation for new FDA regulations. Larger corporations have shied away from it for now until it's possibly legalized. The Rolling Stones' North American tour is likely to take place in July, following news that Mick Jagger had to postpone 17 dates due to ill health. The band's working with promoters to reschedule the shows amid reports that Jagger will have heart surgery later this week. After the tour was postponed, Jagger tweeted, "I'm so sorry to all our fans in America and Canada with tickets. I really hate letting you down like this. I'm devastated for having to postpone the tour, but I will be working very hard to be back on stage as soon as I can. Once again, huge apologies to everyone. The Drudge Report was the first to report that Jagger would need surgery to replace a heart valve. The story was subsequently confirmed by Rolling Stone magazine. The 75-year-old is expected to make a full recovery and return to touring this summer. The U.S. leg of the band's No Filter tour was expected to kick off in Miami's Hard Rock Stadium April 20th, wrapping up 2 months later in Toronto, Canada. Although the band's main shows will all be rescheduled, the Stones' headline performance at the New Orleans Jazz Festival has been canceled. And that's your update for this Tuesday, April 2nd, 2019. I'm Larry Rice. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.